Hey there, welcome to our deep dive, into Kinga Angelys' new single, Little More Love. You're in for a treat with this one, especially if you're looking for a little sonic pick-me-up. Kinga, for those who haven't maybe crossed paths with her music yet, is a Canadian singer-songwriter. She's made Hamburg, Germany, her home base. And she's got this knack for creating acoustic pop that just hits you like right in the feels. Think resilience, hope, and a whole lot of joy.
What's really interesting about the single is how it goes beyond just typical love song tropes. It was released on Valentine's Day, no less. But it's almost like she's bottled up this feeling of fresh starts and new beginnings and set it to music.
And I am so ready to unpack this. I got a sneak peek at the source material, and let me tell you, there's a lot to dig into. Just the way she blends these heartfelt lyrics with these earworm melodies is something else.
Right. From the first few seconds, you're just pulled into this warm embrace. It's like the song itself is giving you a hug. With that simple acoustic guitar and those gentle hums, it's almost meditative.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how she keeps the instrumentation so stripped back at the beginning. It's like she wants the natural warmth of the instruments to just shine through.
Exactly. And then boom, the percussion comes in so subtly, like a heartbeat under the surface. It gives the song this pulse, this forward momentum, without losing that intimate acoustic vibe. Have you ever noticed how some artists use percussion as almost a narrative element in their music?
Oh, totally. It's like the percussion's telling a story alongside the melody and the lyrics.
Yeah.
In this case, it feels like it's mirroring that feeling of renewal, of a heart starting to beat again after a period of stillness. But speaking of keeping things interesting, what struck me was how Kinga layers the instruments throughout the song. It never feels cluttered, but there's this richness to the sound that keeps you hooked.
She's a master of that subtle build, isn't she? It's not just about adding more instruments, it's about how they weave together. Each layer has its purpose, its moment to shine, and it all contributes to the sense of the song growing and evolving, which ties back to that theme of renewal we were talking about.
It's like you're listening to the song blossom in real time. It's so cool. And then you've got her vocals, which are just incredible. It's like she can shift from a whisper to a full-on belt in the space of a single breath, and it never feels forced.
The emotion she injects into every note is what gets me. You can tell she's not just singing words, she's living them. It's like she's inviting you to feel those emotions right alongside her.
Right. That rawness, that authenticity, it's so captivating. And it's particularly noticeable in the way her voice transforms from these tender, almost fragile verses to these big, powerful choruses. That shift is so powerful.
And it's not just her voice, it's the way the music swells with her. The backing vocals in particular are fascinating. They start as this subtle presence almost blending into the instrumentation. But then as we hit the chorus, they build into this incredible, almost choir-like force. Have you ever thought about the role of backing vocals in shaping the emotional landscape of a song?
Oh, for sure. They can add so much depth and texture. In this case, those harmonies create this sense of community, of being surrounded by support. It's like everyone's coming together to sing about the power of love and renewal.
And to think all of this, from the subtle instrumentation to the soaring vocals, is wrapped up in a song that clocks in at under 4 minutes. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest things can have the most profound impact.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And before we dive into the next layer of this song, a huge shout out to Dulaxi for sponsoring this deep dive. We wouldn't be here without your support.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dulaxi. Now, are you ready to get into the nitty-gritty of Kinga's vocal delivery? I'm dying to unpack how she conveys so much emotion with such seeming effortlessness.
Oh, you know I am. Let's get into it.
One thing that really struck me about Little More Love is its intentional simplicity. It's like Kinga Angelys made this conscious choice to just let the rawness of the music speak for itself.
You're so right. It's almost like a palate cleanser after all the overproduced pop we hear these days. It's refreshing. And it totally fits with the song's message of getting back to basics, to the core of what matters.
I was thinking the same things. Like, she stripped away all the unnecessary bells and whistles and just let the music breathe. And you know what? It makes those moments when she does add a little something extra, like a vocal harmony or a subtle percussion element, all the more powerful.
It's like each detail has been carefully considered. Like she's saying, this matters, pay attention. And speaking of paying attention, I'm really curious to hear your take on Kinga's vocals. The source material mentions how effortlessly she moves between these soft, intimate verses and these soaring choruses. It's almost like two different voices.
It's a testament to her control and range, that's for sure. And it's more than just technique. It's about conveying a story through her voice. In the verses, she's introspective, vulnerable, almost hesitant. But then in the choruses, she lets go. She embraces the full power of her voice, and it's exhilarating.
Okay, so I have a confession. When I first heard the song, I thought, this is nice, but is it a little too simple? But then I realized that simplicity is what makes it so effective. It creates space for the emotion to breathe, to really sink in. It's like she's inviting us to sit with those feelings, to let them wash over us.
I get that. Sometimes the music that moves us the most is the music that doesn't try too hard. It's honest, unpretentious, and it cuts straight to the heart. And, when I think about other artists who use that kind of stripped-back acoustic sound, to create deeply emotional music, someone like Joni Mitchell immediately comes to mind.
Oh, absolutely. Blue is a masterclass in vulnerability and raw emotion. And what about Sufjan Stevens? His music often has this delicate, almost ethereal quality that really gets to me.
Sufjan Stevens is a great example. And if we're talking about modern artists, I think Phoebe Bridgers is doing some incredible things. With this kind of intimate acoustic sound, her music has this haunting, melancholic beauty that's incredibly powerful. But there's something about Kinga's voice that feels particularly genuine, like you're hearing a friend confide in you, sharing their hopes and fears.
I totally agree. There's this warmth, this sincerity that just draws you in. And she doesn't shy away from those moments of quiet reflection, which I find really refreshing in a world where everything feels so loud and fast-paced.
It's like she's saying it's okay to slow down. It's okay to feel everything deeply.
It's interesting. The source material describes Kinga's voice as having this genuineness that makes each lyric feel personal and deeply experienced. What are some of the specific techniques singers use to convey that kind of raw emotion?
Yeah.
Dying to know the secrets.
Well, for one, it's about connecting with the lyrics on a personal level. You have to believe in what you're singing, to feel those emotions yourself, in order for them to translate to the listener. But there are also technical aspects that come into play. Things like breath control, phrasing, vibrato, all of these can be used to add depth and nuance to a vocal performance.
It's amazing how much goes into creating a vocal performance that truly resonates with listeners. It's a whole art form in itself.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that makes Kinga so special is that she makes it look effortless. It's like she's not even trying. She's just being herself.
And that's what makes it so captivating. Let's talk about those backing vocals. They're like the secret weapon in this song, adding this whole other layer of emotion.
They really do add something special, don't they? And they're used so strategically, they're almost imperceptible in the verses, just adding a touch of texture. But then as the song builds towards the chorus, they swell into this powerful, almost choir-like sound.
It's like they represent that feeling of community, of being surrounded by support that we were talking about earlier.
Right. It's like everyone's coming together to sing about the power of love and renewal.
Speaking of the lyrics, I'm ready to dive into their deeper meaning. They're simple, but there's a lot packed into those few words.
Oh, I completely agree. There's deceptive simplicity to Kinga's lyrics that I find really intriguing. It's like she's inviting us to find our own meaning in them, to connect with them on a personal level.
I love that. Okay, let's break it down.
Yeah.
I love how she balances this introspection with a call to action in her lyrics. It's not just about reflecting on past hurts or lost love. It's about making a conscious choice to move forward, with an open heart.
It's like she's giving us permission to let go of what's holding us back and embrace something new, something better. And that choice to choose love, even when things are tough, is so powerful. It can be a real game changer.
I'm curious, do you think releasing Little More Love on Valentine's Day was a deliberate choice? I mean, it could be seen as a bit cliche, but somehow it feels different with this song.
It's interesting you bring that up. To me, it feels like she's reframing the whole Valentine's Day concept. It's not just about romantic love. It's about a broader love for life, for humanity, for ourselves.
You're right. It's like she's saying, hey, let's not limit love to just one day or one type of relationship. Let's make every day a celebration of love in all its forms. And that message feels so relevant right now, especially when the world can feel so divided.
Absolutely. We need more of that kind of universal love, the kind that transcends boundaries and brings people together. And music has this incredible ability to do just that, to remind us of our shared humanity.
I think that's what makes Kinga Angelys such a special artist. She doesn't shy away from vulnerability or tough emotions, but she always leaves you feeling hopeful, empowered.
It's like she's walking this tightrope between darkness and light, and she manages to find beauty and meaning in both.
Okay, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. How the song's arrangement seems to perfectly mirror the emotional journey of the lyrics. It's like those moments of quiet reflection in the verses are setting us up for the explosion of joy in the choruses.
It's so masterfully done. You've got this ebb and flow, this push and pull, that keeps you engaged from beginning to end. It's like a conversation between the music and the lyrics.
Yeah.
And you're invited to be a part of it.
I love that analogy. And I think that's what makes this song and Kinga's music in general so impactful. It feels like a shared experience, a conversation between the artist and the listener.
And it's a conversation that leaves you feeling uplifted, inspired, and maybe even a little bit braver.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to our listeners, we highly encourage you to go check out Little More Love and experience its magic for yourselves.
And as you listen, pay attention to the subtle details, the nuances in Kinga's vocals, the way the instruments weave together, the profound simplicity of the lyrics. Let it wash over you.
And who knows, maybe it will inspire you to bring a little more love into your own life and the lives of those around you.
That's it for our deep dive into Kinga Angelys' Little More Love.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep seeking out those sonic gems that make life a little brighter.